views of Sticky Note Conversations and its guests are solely their own and not the views necessarily of Make It Work Nevada or Beyond Impact.
You're listening to
Sticky Note Conversations with Erika Washington. Way below acceptable. Way below acceptable.
On this week's episode,
Democrats are not doing what they need to do to get those nonpartisans, nor are Republicans, because what they're thinking is, I'll just turn out my base and fight for the Latinos. But I agree. It's the nonpartisans who really need to be reached out to and to find out what they want. And because there's been no outreach to them ever, nobody knows how to get to them.
Hey there, Sticky Note listeners. Welcome back to another episode of Sticky Note Conversations. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so happy that the primaries are over. And I am happy to be here to talk about them with the favorite guests of all guests that ever graces the airways of Sticky Note Conversations. The one, the only, the tried and the true, the one that we have to fully edit this episode because there'll be some tomfoolery that happens. Welcome back, Derek Washington.
Hey yo, it's Derek. And we are at the West Las Vegas Library in their new podcast room, which I think is really epic.
It is. We'll have to take a selfie or something while we're in here.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we've done a show and we're in the actual same room together,
right,
too. So,
and I love a studio.
You do love a studio.
I love a studio.
You feel like you belong in a studio, I think.
I do.
But to be in this studio on the historic west side of Las Vegas,
Yes,
off of MLK, in a brand new building with brand new microphones and brand new tables and books everywhere, and so many books
and
about
exhibits about the
Miss
West
Ruby.
Side. Yeah,
And Miss Ruby.
Yeah, Miss Ruby.
and Taylor Swift.
What?
Oddly, yeah, like going up the stairs, like one of the last pictures of Taylor Swift, and I don't know why. I know.
So,
I was going to put a sticky note over it and make Beyonce or something. I know, it's so odd. So, backing up, sticky note listeners, especially those in Las Vegas, the West Las Vegas Library, this library is brand new, and it is probably 3 times the size of the old library that is on the historic West Side, which is the historically Black area in Las Vegas. And Dr. Ruby Duncan, who was a mentor of mine, who you've all would have heard about through various sources, but including one of the last podcasts that we did when talking about her legacy, who's recently passed away. She fought for a library to be put here on this side of town because where the Black children lived, there weren't any books for them to read. And so she put a lot of effort into making sure a library was opened. And it started with a really small one, and then it grew to a larger one that stood for a really long time, probably a couple of decades. And then this one was built, and then she was able to do the ribbon cutting on this library last year, I think it was. And so it was a beautiful ceremony, and it's a beautiful space, and they are planning on dedicating a room to her.
really?
Yes, it's the director of the library district spoke at her funeral, and he made that announcement
He's
there.
cool. What's his name? He's really cool.
I don't remember.
Okay.
You should look that up so that we get it right.
Oh, yeah.
But his name's not Derek. I don't know.
I think it is.
I feel like you should know his name because I think it's Derek. But he came to the homegoing, and he said that they were going to name a room, and I believe it's one of the children's rooms for the reading rooms after Miss Ruby Duncan, Dr. Ruby Duncan, which I think is a beautiful sentiment. But as you are going up the stairs in the library, which is also, in addition, the old library didn't have an upstairs. This has a sprawling upstairs. And as you go up, there's a timeline of Las Vegas and then of other things that have happened in the world. And so it shows when Operation Life was conceived. It shows when a lot of other really important things happened in Las Vegas, but at the same time, things that were happening across the country. And so towards the end, for some reason, Taylor Swift shows up, and I just think it's hilarious.
Well, we will talk to Kelvin Watson about that.
I knew it was the name of somebody that we people named after.
Kelvin. He oversees Nevada's largest library system, which comprises 25 branches, serves a massive 8,000 square mile region, and manages an $87.9 million operating budget.
Dang.
Right? He's somebody.
He is. I bet his mama's proud.
All right, Kelvin.
Thank you, Kelvin. So we are here in the library utilizing this free public space.
I do have to say one thing.
What?
You know, you mentioned that Miss Ruby was your mentor.
Yes.
She liked me better.
You know, you see how you act? You see how you act?
Because I'm a boy.
No, she liked Mike Flores better.
Okay, I'll give you that.
That's the only person. And he knows it, and I know it. Everybody knows.
it.
Michael Flores. Shout out to
Okay.
Michael Flores.
Cool.
And Michael and I were able to talk about Miss Ruby on Vegas PBS on Nevada Week. And so if anyone missed that, you can go on pbs.org and find that great conversation where we had some good times talking about Miss Ruby. But as being Miss Ruby's favorite person in the whole wide world, I find it really imperative that we not fail to mention how much voting mattered to her.
Yeah.
And that early voting actually started on the day of her homegoing celebration here in Nevada.
Very fitting.
Very fitting. It's almost like she timed it right.
Yeah. You know, one of the last times, not the last time I talked to her, but the time before, she said her mantra to me, Derek, we got to get these people to vote. And that was her thing.
Mm-hmm. And I think we did. We got some people to vote. But thinking about voting, thinking specifically about voting, and that this primary in a midterm, where midterms are notoriously have a low turnout, that people don't show up in the same way. The same amount of money is not spent on campaigns or on civic engagement campaigns. And so folks just don't turn out the way that they normally do. But I think for Nevada specifically, as a primary state, as an early state, you know, we are, I think folks showed up pretty well. And so we have some numbers that we'll share in a bit about that. But I wanted to get your overall opinion, Derek, on what you thought of this campaign season.
I'm not going to lie. I've been doing this now for 15 years about. I've never seen a campaign. I've never seen a campaign season where people just blatantly lied. Like the flyers, everybody was accusing everybody of being MAGA, including like Black progressive men were MAGA. And I also called this the "you don't go here" election, because a bunch of groups decided to stick their noses in our voting business, and they failed miserably for the most part. And I definitely will, we'll go into more detail about that. But the amount of lying was just, it is blatant lying. I've just never seen it before. And I'm on a call out, CCEA, which is the teachers union. Y'all need to get your act together, because you were the most egregious at it. You straight up lied. And whoever is in charge of your political thinking needs to be fired. It's my understanding that over $174,000 was spent by the teachers union, and basically, and that was before the campaign really got started. So your dues went towards some BS. I'll just say it like that. And we can come back to that, but I was appalled at the things CCEA sent out under their name.
I think that there are a number of unions that can be looked at, through the lens of bullying.
Mm.
And this might be an unpopular opinion, but this is my show, that I feel as though in some aspects, and this is not a blanket statement for all unions or for all situations, but there are aspects that feel like they're not necessarily for the people or for the union members. That is more about the upper echelon, the grass tops, the executive suite, C-suite, as you would say, I guess, in corporate speak, of folks that make these decisions and saying that they are for the good of the people and they're for the good of the union. But I'm always really curious about if each union member feels like they actually have a voice, and if they vote on who they want to have in office and that's who they want to endorse and then support behind, because there's not going to be 100% agreement on that for sure. So if you have a number of candidates and the union members are asked to vote on who you should endorse, if there's a first and a second choice or whatever, or if it's broken down by, like a lot of the women in the union are pushing this way and the men are pushing this way for various reasons, because we all have different goals and aspects of what we feel like we need and what we want people, how we want people to serve us. How do we on the outside know, those who maybe aren't in the union, and you see a union that is for schools or for a different industry or something that you may respect, but you're not a part of this union, and they say, we endorse X, Y, and Z. How do we know? And then and also how do the union members know that this has been done fairly and that it's done democratically on the inside with those folks, and that the union members feel that way? Because you don't hear them individually talking about it, because they have this collective voice that comes from their spokespeople. And I feel as though in certain situations that has been used to bulldoze based upon the goals that union feels like it has or things that they want to do, and not based upon like the greater good of all. And even those outside of the union, because just because you support someone because by the union or what have you, that doesn't mean that is the only thing they should be thinking about. Like, how's this good for the entire community, not just the union members?
And this is what I mean by you don't go here. What I was told, because I'm in a position work-wise where I'm sort of privy to different unions thinking. And the CCEA members basically said that they were endorsing certain people because they were endorsing with their brother unions, meaning building and trades. And building and trades put up a candidate against a community, for lack of a better word, stalwart, hero, whatever, somebody the community likes. And it goes back to what you're saying. They didn't ask the community what the community wanted. What they decided was someone who voted against them on one bill needed to be gone and replaced. And the other unions went along with it. And again, not because the other unions had sat down with their members and said, these are the reasons this guy should be our endorsed candidate. But it was more like, well, he's a member of the union, and therefore, and the people, like you said, who benefited from the decisions are the C-suite people. And I think that many of those C-suite people sort of wrecked their reputation with this election. We can go specifics whenever you're ready, but I think that
I'm ready when you are.
Okay,
Shoot.
so let's just wait.
Was it spill the wine?
Did that girl. So here's the deal. Let's talk about specifically. So I advise everybody on Facebook in particular. There's a guy named Justin Guzman, progressive guy. He's really good at just paying attention to stuff, getting the facts, coming with receipts. Follow him because he makes a good point. All of these unions went after Jovan Jackson and Howard Watts because they voted against the film tax credit bill. The film tax credit bill basically raped Nevada for the benefit of billionaires in California. And the union, Building Trades, was like, yeah, we need this for jobs. No, the jobs were temporary jobs, as are all construction jobs, but they're good jobs. The state, I forget, whoever does the finances on bills and decides how they affect the state, said that this bill was bad for Nevada.
This is coming from the finance committee itself? Or
There's a state like a GAO, like the
comptroller?
I don't know. I should have known that before we started. But the people who look at bills and decide what the benefits are said this was not a good bill for the state. And the union, Vince Saavedra, who's the head of the union, just went full, I don't know, he just went all ape. I can't say the rest of ape. He went after people tenaciously.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See, look, use your big words.
know,
Use your
right?
dictionary.
I went to private school. So
Same.
So anyway, he went after Howard and he went after Jovan, thinking that he could just replace them with generic, I'll say it, Latinos. And you can't come for people in the community. And what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say it was ugly And it had nothing to do with the community. It had to do with the ego of the people in the C-suite. They thought that they could run stuff, and you don't go here. Like, the fact that they thought that they could just replace a leader, 2 leaders in the Black elected community with 2 generic Latinos says a lot about what's going on right now. And I'm going to say this. This election season had a lot of racial elements to it. There's a concerted effort, I feel, to replace Black elected officials with Latinos. And I'm not mad at the organizations that try to do it because, you know what, that's your advocacy, that's what you're doing. Black people need to do it more. But I really felt that there's so many openings for elected office in this state, especially in Clark County. But it seems like whenever these groups, these unions, et cetera, decided to back somebody, it was always backing somebody against a Black person or in a traditionally Black district instead of going after white people. And I look at something as simple. It started the last session with SD1, where they took a traditionally Black seat and they replaced the Black person with a white presenting Latina. So it's a thing. And do I have proof? No. But is it obvious? Yes.
I think nothing you said is untrue. However, my struggle with all of it, as it feels, the way it's explained, it feels so cut and dry. Like, this is Latinos against Blacks, or, whites against Latinos, or whatever. And there's so much pie, and it feels like everyone's digging in the same corner, right? Like, when you think about the number of seats, as you said, that can be run for across the county, across the state, certain demographics have spent all of their time in one area, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's the proverbial Black seat. Right? And it's not just here. That's everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, there are just places where, like, oh, that's a Black seat.
Which is why when it's out, they're trying to get rid of them.
Right. That's a Latino seat, whatever. Especially in Vegas, this is not a truly one concentrated area of folks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can say that a lot of Latinos live on the east side, which would be a true statement. But Black folks in general, we're really spread out here across the entire county.
There's Henderson Negroes, Centennial Negroes, West Side Negroes.
Folks is everywhere. And folks up north in North Las Vegas and elsewhere. But it's always the same seats, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Over and over and over
Right.
again. Same with, like, the county commission. Like, there's one seat.
Mm-hmm.
For
Even though we
Black.
live everywhere.
Right. And it's like, why is no one picking off over there?
Right.
Why do you think? Because just because you're Black doesn't mean that you don't have a universal appeal to people and that you don't have universal ideals.
A Summerlin Negro is way different than a West Las Vegas Negro. So why can't we be in Summerlin? Yes, I
You
agree with
very
that.
much can be. And so the question would be now, so is that really a question of people just not wanting to run for those seats? Or is that a bigger question of the party saying you have to stay
You and I know how
in
this
your
works.
place?
Yeah, the white folks who run the Democratic Party decide these things. And they will make it very hard for anybody stepping outside of their racial setup. However, they don't do that with Latinos. There are Latinos all across the valley.
I ain't seen none necessarily running in certain areas, like in the Southwest
Right, but there's more across the valley than they allow Blacks. And I say allow very intentionally.
Mhm.
And I think that this election really...
Well, I think it's how dark you are.
Mhm.
So when you put it that way,
'Cause
like
ours
you,
is-
when you say
Yeah,
that Latinos are allowed to run in other seats, I would not say a Dominican would be.
No,
I would not
it's
say
white presenting.
Yes,
It's
you would
white
very
presenting.
much. You have white skin. You have white privilege. You could pass for
Right.
something else, but we're going to use a little bit of spiciness because then everybody feels like there's just some diversity a little bit.
Right, but it's the kind of diversity, and I always say this, they always pick white presenting Latinas who've never flipped a tortilla with their fingers. You know? Always. Catherine Cortez Mastos, okay? Shelley whatever Crawford, you know? It's always that type of Latina. And I'm not saying anything bad about either of them, But I am saying it's that type of Latina.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. You're saying that there's a certain type that if you fit this box, if you fit into this box,
Right.
and you keep us comfortable in this box, because then we don't look at you as that. We don't see you as other.
Right.
We see you as something that could actually assimilate into being one of us.
Right.
But you also have to be moldable. You also have to have that personality. They're not going to pick a fiery
No,
anybody,
Yeah.
of any sort, fiery Latina or a sassy
Sassy.
Black woman, or a spicy Filipina. Like,
Yeah.
that's not going to happen, right? I ask everybody, like, what is a democracy and do we have democracy? And it's like, how do you truly have democracy if there are all these rules, whether they're written down or not, whether someone wouldn't, grab their pearls at some of the stuff we're saying, and it sounds
They will.
it sounds like we're anti whatever, when it's just like, truth be told, like, this is the truth that's being told. Like, this is the history of it. Like, prove me wrong. Show me where somebody other than a white person has served in certain county commission districts. And you can't say there aren't any Black folks or Latino folks or Asian folks that would fit. Like, have there been any Asian folks on the county
Yes.
commission?
Oh, no, city council.
County commission is
Yeah,
what I was
yeah.
thinking about. And there's certainly room for
It's a
a
hell of
plenty.
Asians. Well, like my district is Tick Seeger Bloom, and that encompasses downtown, but also the east side. And I live in Filipino town. So where's the Filipino representative? But there's a theory called the captured Black vote, which goes to what you're talking about. Basically, it's saying that the Democratic Party doesn't have to do anything for Black people because where else we're going to go? Same thing with gays. Where else we're going to go? Because the Republican Party is so hostile to both of those groups. And they see the Latino vote as being viable because, them hoes ain't loyal. They proved that with Kamala, and they go back and forth because they a lot of times think they're white and they think that they're better than their brown brothers and sisters. You got the whole Cuban versus Mexican thing. And I think that when you talk about a democracy, do Blacks and gays have a democracy, or do we just have to put up with whatever you're giving us? Because if we protest, if we make a protest vote, we're screwing ourselves.
Well, there's that. But also, if we get so divisive of saying this is a Black seat, and the Latinos are trying to take over, whatever, that puts this inner infighting on us, and it's not really us fighting against each other. Like, I don't have any reason to say that a Latino person cannot run in whatever district they want to run in if they feel like they can do a good job. I don't have any reason not to say that, but doing it for that reason versus being put up to run for something because you're mad at somebody else, you're being put up by somebody else, and you may not even realize you're being a puppet, but you're being puppeted. Like, there's the problem there, and it'll be their own people. And so it's like, so you're causing this divisive infighting, and you're doing it for a bigger cause that, like, when I really think about this, when I think about the film tax credit bill that didn't pass in regular session, and then there was a special session and it still didn't pass, and you had the folks who voted against it, and those folks have then been primaried because so you're going to threaten their job and their livelihood and the work that they want to do, their long-term work, because they didn't vote a certain kind of way. So then you put up another, quote unquote minority to run against them. Not a white person,
Right.
but another minority. So you cause this interracial fighting, and for the good of whom? And the only people it's good for is rich white people, because you're going to punish. So a Latino wants to punish a Black man for something that would benefit the white man more than anybody, because in the end, you're not going to get that much out of it either. And so that's what I saw happening specifically with the race of Jovan Jackson. But it wasn't just Jovan, right? It's also Howard Watts. Anybody who pushed back on that bill, but
got a Latino opponent.
Right, got a Latino opponent. And then so you're using your own people to push other people out. And then you're going to, if they would have won, if Jovan would have lost and this other person would have won, then what? Right? So if he don't do what you want him to do, then you're going to push him out too. And so then it's not about serving the people.
Never.
It's always about, I need people in office who are going to do whatever it is I want them to do.
Right.
And that just sounds like abuse
Well, and that's what the CCA
and bullying.
Yeah, the CCA member told me, who's involved in their union politics, I said, how could you endorse Joe Lombardo, who's MAGA and all the things and anti-education, anti-public education? And he goes, well, he's going to go up there and do what we want him to do. And I was like, but you work in a school. Like, what does that mean? But your union feels like you have puppets, basically, who are going to do what you tell them to do. And I've never met a high-end politician who does what the people want them to do. So,
Because the thing is, if we have robots in there just doing what you want them to do, like, how is that actually helpful on the whole, right? Like, I don't know. I feel it's very exhausting, because at the same time, what we're telling people is to vote, right? We're telling you, got to get out and vote. You got to get out and vote.
And they're saying, but why?
Right. And they're like, why, if it's all rigged and people are just puppets for other people and they're not really going to do what I need them to do anyway. But I think that is a point. Like, so I think in Jovan's district, like, that spoke up and said, no, we're happy with who we had and we're going to continue to support him. But then that Jovan has to hold up his piece of the bargain for the community and the people who voted for him, and not just the people who may have given him money and folks who have endorsed him or what have you.
And I do want to say this. The Jovan race was important because I think a lot of people were like, you know what? No, you're not doing this to us. But here's what's interesting. Jovan got 70.95% of the vote. That other person whose name I'm not going to mention, he got 29.05%. But the numbers, the actual numbers of the vote is what's shocking to me. The punk got 995 votes, and Jovan got 2,430. That means roughly a little bit over 3,000 people voted in that district. And the district must have 10, 20,000 people in it, probably. That is the problem. So basically, you can win. When I ran for city council, I got like 25% of the vote, and I still got more votes than people in other districts got in their races. And it was under 500 votes. So basically, the person who won with 2,100 votes. And that's sort of insane, because that was the West Side, and there's a lot more people over there than 3,000 people. So it's like the engagement of people is insane.
Why do you think people don't engage?
Because they know it's all BS. They think it's all BS. But because of what we're talking about. Because at the end of the day, it seems like nobody's listening to us. But again, Jovan's race showed that we also know BS when we see it. I thought that was very important. The community was like, nah, we're not doing this. Now, Howard Watts is in a little bit different situation. He's basically neck and neck with his opponent.
Yeah, by the time this airs, we'll know one way or the other whether or not he won. But right now, he was less than, I want to say, 50 vote.
And
Howard Watts is the incumbent assemblyman.
Also black.
And he's also black.
Yeah. Howard so his opponent, a Latino, got 50.81% or 1,341 votes. Howard, so far, right now, has 49.19% or 1,298. So they're within 60 votes of each other. And already Howard's being bullied to concede.
And this is recorded on Thursday before y'all hear this.
Yeah.
So whatever date this, the 11th. Today is the 11th.
So, and Howard's being bullied by unions to concede. If he better go down to the.
Oh no, I'm gonna hold on for dear life. Like I would till the last vote is counted. It's way too close, because you could win by one.
Right.
That's all you need is one.
Richard Churchill lost by one vote back in the day. So yeah, but yet they're bullying him. Like, just give it up. And again, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But I do think that people feel a little, I think this election had two effects. One, we stood up to the powers that be. And two, progressives did really well this election. Like throughout the election, they did well. And I'm going to say something else. Christian Solomon ran against Jim, what's the guy's name? Gibbons, the county commissioner? Airport.
Yeah.
Christian, first time running for office, community organizer. Christian got 40% of the vote.
Mm.
That's pretty freaking amazing. And Alex, I can't say his last name, Prislaslavsky, he won. Camilla Bywaters won.
Apologies for whatever that was that you just said. We will learn your last name, sir.
The big disappointment was Nicole Canizaro winning. She is no good for Black people, but I said it. But yeah, you know, progressives did really well in this election, regardless of what the party establishment tried to do. Like even the people who lost did really well. And even like Joe Cato came with it.
She ran for?
Joe Cato ran for assembly, what was it, 20? Shoot. Joe Cato. But Joe Cato came within 10 points after starting with Alex. Okay, you say his name.
Preslin, you know, Alex J with the blue shirt. That's his name. His name is Alex J.
And he's cute.
With a P, Alex JP.
Yeah, Alex. And Vinny Spottelson won.
Congratulations.
Yeah, Vinny's the dude. So a lot of progressives really did well against.
Vinny should come on the show. Vinny Spottelson.
Yeah, Vinny's cool.
Show up.
Vinny, get up in here. Tick Seegerbloom won against Marco Hernandez.
Ticker Seegerbloom will always win.
Yeah.
Like there are just certain ones.
So here it is. Christian Solomon, he got 43% of the vote. He got 8,556 votes.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Gibson got 11,302. I think that's amazing.
That is amazing, actually.
You know,
because this is his first time running.
First time.
Chris Solomon.
And his campaign team was all first. They were like,
and he's young.
Activists. He's 20 something.
Yeah.
And
so it shows that things are movable.
Yeah.
With a little bit more money or a little bit more time or a little bit more of whatever it is that certain people could upset and move some things around. And not to, I don't have a dog in that race for sure. But just the aspects of it, right? That there's movement that's always possible, because sometimes people think, oh, you can't beat an incumbent, somebody who's been around for a long time, you know. And some incumbents are great and they should keep their job and continue doing what they're doing. But that doesn't mean that those folks also need to be challenged too, because you can get real lazy, don't you? And become like, you know, this is my seat and I'm just going to keep it forever. Folks still need to be challenged and stay on their toes.
Well, I think that every election, you should have a primary opponent just to earn your job, you know? And so, yeah, I think that and notice something though, all of those people, with the exception of Joe, I think all of those people are probably Gen Z, which, you know, they don't feel like they can't do something. I think those of us who are older, like I'm on the cusp of Gen X, we sort of...
All right.
I am.
You're not a boomer.
I am, but I'm on the cusp. They call it there's some word for it because we're embarrassed. You know, we're not trying to be boomers. We grew up Gen X. It's called like the hidden generation or the silent generation.
I thought I was the silent generation.
No, you're a millennial, I thought.
I am a Gen X.
Oh, sorry.
Shame on you.
I hate millennials. I just think they're the ones.
And you were looking to hate me. You were looking to hate me. You were like, you're a millennial. I can already tell.
They are the
participation prize. I look at it like this. Like they say that that millennial starts around 1980 or 1981, somewhere in there.
I was on a dance floor.
And I was born in 1980, but I was born January 6th, 1980. Carter was still president. I cannot be a millennial and Carter was still president. I can't connect those dots. And also I was late because it's who I am. So started off that way. I was technically supposed to be born December 25th, 1979. I am a Gen X person.
Because later on, Insurrection Day would happen.
Right. I need you to like, who wants to be married or who wants to be birthed on Christmas?
Right.
I mean,
When there's an
Jesus already
insurrection
took
right
it.
around the corner.
Right. I need my own day. Let Jesus have his, and I'm gonna have mine.
So let's go through the races.
Okay, but before you go through the races, I want to say a couple of things about this primary election as far as numbers. So there are 2,060,184 registered active voters in the state of Nevada. The total turnout for mail was 256,590. Early turnout was 94,364. Election day turnout was 82,690, and total turnout was 433,626. That's 21.05%. Only 21% of the people who are eligible to vote, who are already registered to vote, voted. Even when it came in the mail to you in your hand, and you could just throw it back in the mail or drop it off, or you can come do it at the various polling locations early, have a week of early vote, or you could do it on election day. Still only 21% did it. And so
Also, though, okay, how many times before an election do you get phone calls from people saying, who should I vote for?
who me, I get them all the time.
Right. So I always get them like,
Yeah, I help people with their ballots all the time because they don't know who's whom.
They don't know, and they get those mailers.
But that's the helpful part about the mail ballot, is that it's like a take-home test.
Yeah.
So you could just sit there and Google every single person on there and read something about them and see, oh, I think I might actually like this person. You can do a deep dive of research, you do some top line research, whatever, but you have time, and which is better to me than going in blind.
Yeah.
And then, because even myself, as connected as I've been, I've walked into the voting booth and looked at some of maybe the judges or what have you, some of the folks I'm not as familiar with, and I can't remember who I thought I should vote for.
I'm going to admit to something. Okay. Back in the day, with the judges especially, because there's sometimes 50, 60, 80 judges running, I used to just vote for the women, thinking they have to be better than the men. Find out later on, that's not necessarily true, especially when it comes to Republicans. But now, when I go in and I don't know somebody, I try to figure out whose name sounds black.
That was cause for a little won't. Let's see if that worked.
Yeah, so I try to fit Tamika Washington, I think. I was like, okay, cool.
Sounds excellent.
Right. That works.
She's a hard worker, I can tell.
Right. So I tried to do that because there was a couple I'm like, oh, shoot, I don't know these people. And I should know because the things I were running for. But I was like, are they a Democrat or not? Because I'm not going to mess up and vote for a Republican. Not in the current state where the only people who are making it through are MAGA. But yeah, so I actually, for the first time ever, voted none of the above in a few things because I just didn't know anything about them at all. So let's go with District 1.
Wait, you're doing congressional?
Yeah, started congressional.
Okay, and the congressional seats there are 4 congressional seats for the entire state of Nevada, and all of those people go to Washington to work on federal policy. Federal.
Right. So Dina Titus, Joy Hoover, and Gabriel Cornejo, who should have won because he's cute, he came in last. Joy got 12%, basically 13%. That was a given. Dina's a powerhouse. Dina's,
And she's been in office for
whatever.
A little while.
Yeah. Well, I'd say one thing about Dina. I may not agree with her on everything, a lot of things, most things, but Dina Titus has been there for the LGBTQI plus community forever. Like back when nobody was co-sponsoring or sponsoring bills that were dealing with equality for the gays, Dina was there, and she will always have my heart for that because she was always there when I was chair Stonewall. She made it a point that nothing went through equality-wise that did not have her name on it.
Yeah, she's been the United States representative for Nevada's 1st congressional district since 2013. And before that, she was the U.S. representative for the 3rd district, congressional district from 2009 to 2011. So basically since 2009, she's been in Congress minus 2 years.
That makes sense because I got in the game in 2008. So yeah. Susie Lee is District 3, 69% of the vote. Dr. James Lowley, who's a really cool guy, got 20.29% of the vote, which again, a progressive. I think that he didn't run as hard as he probably could have, but he's also a full-time doctor. Susie Lee, Stone Cold Fox, love her. But
there's a lot of looking having to do with how you vote.
Vote on look. You know this. You cannot be busted and get Derek's vote. It's just not going to happen. But come on.
You didn't say Dina Titus was a fox.
I said that she's a friend of the gay community. So that trumped anything else. Susie Lee is going to have a hard race simply because the Republicans have been gunning for her forever. Me and my mom would be like, dang, every other commercial on cable was anti-Susie Lee. So they're putting in a lot of money to go against her.
They've been putting a lot of money in against her for a number of years.
Yeah. And District 4, which is the rurals, my buddy Woodrow Johnson, I probably shouldn't tell people he's my buddy. He managed the campaign of Cody Whipple, and they won with 63% of the vote.
I think you got that wrong.
What?
You said CD4?
Yeah.
CD4 is Horsford.
U.S. representative in Congress, District 4. Oh, I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? That Stephen Horsford has been representing CD4 for a minute, I believe.
Sorry, Woody.
I'm like, wait, what?
Oh, my goodness gracious.
I'm like, where did Steve go?
Gotcha. Yeah, well, we know where our loyalties lie there. Also a good-looking fellow, Stephen Horsford. Speaking of good-looking, Aaron Ford got 66.20% of the vote.
That's where you went. Yes.
Get myself out of that.
Let's just move on. Now we're on to statewide. So speaking of Aaron Ford.
Oh my God, yeah, Aaron.
Currently our attorney general, first Black attorney general for state Nevada, is now the Democratic nominee for the governor position for Nevada. And if he is to win, he would be also the first Black governor for the state of Nevada, which would be obviously a historic moment there. But also, I don't know if any of the other previous governors were fluent in Spanish, because he's fluent. Maybe Brian Sandoval.
I don't know. He was awful. Joe flipped tortillas with his fingers.
I never saw him speak Spanish, but that doesn't mean he doesn't. I don't know. But that gives a sense of unity, I think, in or could give a sense of unity in this state particularly. And he ran against Alexis Hill, who was on last week's episode.
So what did you think? I never got to meet her, but her campaign team was very good at outreach. They invited me to so many things that it just so happens each time something came up. But what did you think? If Aaron Ford wasn't in the picture, what do you think?
She's very personable. I think that she has decent, lofty ideas, especially around like increasing the tax base. She's not afraid to talk about taxes, which I think is really important. She put a lot of her own money and effort into the race and winning. She seems like a person who really cares about her family and the people that she is around. And I think that she certainly cares about the state of Nevada.
Wow.
Honestly, I don't know that she was ready to represent a state as diverse as this with such a limited touch of non-white people. Certain questions that I asked, and I actually can't even recall if all of it made it into the show, but I did talk about Nevada having sundown towns and the fight Minden gave to keep their sundown horn,
Explain what a sundown town is.
a town where non-native white people are allowed to be after a certain time.
Negroes out by 6.
It wasn't just Negroes. So this was about
They do
native.
Mexicans too?
It was Native Americans
Uh-huh.
that they wanted basically everybody out but the whites by a certain time, and this
Yeah.
bell or whatever would go off, and that was your cue that you had
And
to
recently,
skedaddle. Like very recently.
Yeah.
And so then there was a law that was passed at the state level to get rid of this horn, this bell, this whatever you want to call it, this sound, and the law passed. But then men didn't push back, and I meant to look
'cause they
this up
called it
earlier.
tradition.
They called it tradition, but they came up with some language, and they were real sly about it. It was language about how they could bring it back and keep it because it was theirs, and they could do that, and they did, and they pushed back and they won. Any place that puts forth that much effort to keep something like
How
that,
pathetic are you?
it's child.
Pathetic.
But when I asked her about it, it was just like, we just need to learn we all get along. And I don't mean to make it as simple as all that, but it was, it was just like, we just got to all get to know each other. Well, sure, we can all get to know each other, but obviously some folks don't want to get to know
All lives
other
matter.
folks.
Yeah, I don't need it.
All of that. So people just need to spend more time with other folks. You
Yeah.
can't go to a couple of Black folk led meetings and think that you talk to the Black community,
Right.
because we are not a monolith, and there's so many different types of folks. And we come from so many different places, right?
Yeah.
Nevada's super transient, and it's just like this hodgepodge of people from Detroit to Chicago to California, from the South and wherever. We bring that with us.
Yeah.
And so understanding that and understanding what it is that we need and we want requires more time and more energy, and not just when I've decided to run. So now I'm going to engage. But I say that about not just her, but everyone.
Yeah.
You had brought up specifically the Shepherd's Breakfast, which is a monthly meeting that goes on every single month at the Wealthy Place
Yeah.
on the West Side, where electeds and anybody can go. Like anybody can come,
And the food is good.
and the food is good, and you just talk about stuff, right? And so it's certainly a place where people who are running for office show up because they want to be seen. They want their 5 minutes on the mic, and they want everybody to know that they care about what's happening over there. The Wealthy Place butts up against the projects. Do you walk your butt around the corner, like around that brick wall, the concrete wall that the Wealthy Place
It's
has right
literally-
there? Literally a concrete wall at where this building is. If you walk around the corner, it's Sherman Gardens. Spend some time over there. Hang out with the homies. Hang out with Michael Flores, because that's where Michael Flores is, working with the children at the Nevada Youth Network. Go over there and spend some days. Talk to the kids, not just once, not just twice. Go and spend some hours in there, and then let those parents know who you are, and then come back and talk to me about what it is that you think could best serve this community based upon what those people told you about their lives, not what you can assume or what you thought you saw and then you want to try to fix.
Right, because you're listening. So, the Wealthy Shepherd's Breakfast is like one-stop shopping. Every election season, I work with somebody. Currently, full disclosure, I work with Scott Black. I started as a volunteer. And so now I work with him, advising him on Black issues and progressive issues and gay issues, all the things I am. And it's a great place for a start.
You're so multidimensional.
I am. I'm diverse. So it's a great place for a start, but yes, I agree. And I do always try to explain it, because it used to be white people thought all they had to do was go talk to the ministers. And that was one-stop shopping. The ministers then would go out, but ministers don't have that pull anymore. And the great thing about the Shepherd's Breakfast is you get so many people from so many different organizations that you can reach out to organizations. I'll tell you something that happened really cool recently. All of the sororities, the Black sororities, threw a big town hall. Easily 200-300 people.
Sororities and the fraternities?
It was
Or just the
it
sororities?
was the sororities.
Okay.
People all dressed in yellow, people in pink and green, it was like their colors. And it was cool because you had so many, obviously, if you're a sorority, you're college educated. You had a big room, an overflow room of educated Black women who represent their different communities in there to talk to the mostly white candidates. And I think that they got an eye-opening because the questions were different. The concerns were different. It was really cool. And I I'd like to see more of that because the people there represent not just themselves, but those are the people their friends call and ask, who should I vote for? So I thought that was really cool and very uplifting and it gave me hope. And I think a lot of it's to do with Trump. You know, I think a lot of it is to be like this MF.
You stopped saying his name on my show.
I didn't say the whole thing. Yes. Okay. So the orange blob, I think a lot of it has to do with that people are like, Project 2025 got dropped by the Democrats when they should have really leaned into it. Black folks never dropped Project 2025. We knew that was coming for us. And now we've seen it in action. And I think that Black folks are very activated this election season.
So you think that the general election in November will have a better turnout than an average midterm?
Of Black people. I think white people too.
But we always turn out.
Right. And that's the problem. That's our greatest benefit and our greatest problem. Democrats know we're going to turn out, so you ain't got to do nothing special for us.
But there are more independents
Right.
Registered in the state of Nevada than there are Democrats or Republicans at this point.
And Democrats are not doing what they
Or I should say nonpartisan.
Yeah.
Because independent is different.
Democrats are not doing what they need to do to get those nonpartisans, nor are Republicans, because what they're thinking is, I'll just turn out my base and fight for the Latinos. Because both sides feel like that's going to get them over their thing. But I agree. It's the nonpartisans who really need to be reached out to and to find out what they want. And because there's been no outreach to them ever, nobody knows how to get to them. One of the great things that you did last election, I think it
I
was.
do so many great things.
You do.
Go ahead.
You do. You're special.
Just
Yeah.
run them down.
Real applause. The bus thing.
Our bus canvassing.
Yeah. You
Mhm.
know, to go ride the bus, ask people what they're really about. And to me, those are people who oftentimes don't feel enfranchised, and they have different needs than other people. Like I tell every county commissioner, I'm like, could you just go ride to work for 1 week on Metro from wherever you are, take the bus so you can see how people actually live and see the drama that people have to go through. I think if you ride the bus, I rode the bus for a long time and I rode it with my bike. So sometimes you go, it's great, easy. Other times you get on there, it smells. Other times you get on there, somebody's crazy and starting stuff. Other times the traffic is so bad. Other times you see people fall off the bus stop on their wheelchairs. I picked up about 3 people from their scooters because the way the bus stops are set up, oftentimes there's a pole right there.
Mm.
And it's like, so who didn't think about this? Somebody who doesn't ride the bus. So I thought when you were having people go out and canvass on the buses, it really was an innovative, and it shouldn't be that innovative. It was common sense.
Yeah. And I think that's what it comes down to, right? It's like, if we actually say we're trying to meet people where they are, then you actually have to meet them where they are. And that doesn't always mean their door.
Right. Go to the grocery store.
Because I also think that there's a level of danger in door knocking and canvassing,
Yeah.
especially for certain demographics of people. It's also hot
Yeah.
to canvass, especially all the way into November. Like, it's very hot. But also, Nevada's a stand your ground state. You know, folks got itchy trigger fingers for no reason to say that somebody is on their
Looking for a reason
property.
to find
Right. People
to
look
it.
for a reason to shoot somebody. And the folks who usually volunteer or are paid canvassers are folks that don't necessarily look like they don't look like a clean cut Chad, you know,
Right.
or whatever. And so, and these folks also may have their own set of struggles, right? And so de-escalation is hard when you've got 2 people really amped up because you're threatening their livelihood. So there's so many different things, and I just felt like the bus was a safer alternative for us. And I've really been trying to push this idea and find more funding for it so we can spend more time, not just even just during the elections, but just to sit there and talk to people, get to know them, be in community with people, and understand what their daily lives are like, to understand what they actually need.
You know who's good at that? Mom Donnie.
Yeah, he's out there riding the bikes, doing all kind of fun stuff. So, thoughts. Well, I guess first, are there any other races to bring up? Because I want to move into thinking about 2028, actually, and your thoughts on 2028.
You know what? I was very upset about Nicole Canizaro winning.
You did say that already.
Yeah, I just find her.
She is our current Senate Majority Leader.
Yeah, I don't think she's ever done anything that benefits Black people, and many things that have harmed us. Progressive Edgar Flores beat back Isaac Barone.
That was a nasty race.
That was ugly. Edgar Flores recently was arrested for drunk driving, but
I think he just fell asleep.
Sure. The thing is, they made it look like he was out there on an episode of Cops. Like it was.
I think he fell asleep at the light. Is that what happened?
Well, because he was drunk. You know, come on now. Listen. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Homie was drunk.
I don't have allegedly. The news. Yeah, allegedly, I do not have the news piece pulled up, but there may have been a substance of some sort.
When have you fallen asleep at a light?
I don't like to drive.
This is true. You're probably not the best.
I'm not. I fall asleep all the time in the back seat where someone is carrying me around.
Back in the day, when people used to drive drunk, I fell asleep at the light. And if I gotten pulled over, girl. Anyway, that was ugly. Other than that, things were pretty, James Orenshaw won. He's another race that I really felt some kind of way about was Assembly District 1. That's the race that Joe Cato went against Alexis Esparza. I have nothing against Alexis Esparza. As a matter of fact, I really don't know who she is. But that was one where a Danielle Monroe-Marino, who I'm no fan of, she gave up her seat to run for North Las Vegas mayor. She was chair of the House Ways and Means Committee, blah, 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 blah. She's a Blackish woman. And they immediately found elected. What? If Catherine Cortez Matos has never flipped a tortilla with her fingers, Danielle has never had hot sauce in her purse. Okay? So that was a race that I felt was rather, we're going to impose a Latina on a traditionally Black area. Camilla Bywater's won. That's great. Who else in here? Basically, I think that the Jovan thing was the most important race, I feel, of the season. And it really showed that we, the people, can fight back.
Stand up, fight back?
Yeah.
Something I want to highlight, someone else I had on recently, Claire Thomas.
Hey.
She made a post yesterday, it's being an independent voter. And she made a really good point around primary elections not being private functions, and they're paid for by public tax dollars and run by government staff, but forcing independent voters to fund an election that they are legally banned from participating is un-American. So unless you register as a Democrat, then you can't vote in the Democratic primary. Unless you register as a Republican, you can't vote in the Republican primary. And if you are an independent, you can only vote on independent seats or nonpartisan seats. So certain judges and different things like that. And so when it comes to a primary, now it comes to the general ballot, you can vote on everything. When it comes to the primary, things are segregated in that way. And so her purpose in her post was to push back and say, open primaries are really important and they really count. We shouldn't have closed primaries and then have candidates only catering to, certain demographics of people. And I thought it was a really
It's taxation without representation.
Mm-hmm. Come on, DC.
Right. I absolutely agree with her.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point to make. But thinking about the future, thinking about 2028, because midterms are just as important as presidential elections. And as we are moving upon this midterm and whatever happens here, it is all a building block into whatever happens in 2028 with the next presidential election. So wanting to get your thoughts around what we should be doing right now to prepare for 2028 and how we show up differently.
it's not about us. It's about how the party should show up differently. Regardless of whether or not anybody wants to say it, Israel is an issue. It's going to be a huge issue, and it's going to determine whether or not a lot of young people vote the way we want them to vote, which is against fascism. And I don't know that young people understand the difference between I'm not messing with Israel and how we could end up in fascism. And Israel knows this, and they're playing it. AIPAC is playing both sides of the aisle, and it's an issue. And I don't really know the way around it because I'm completely anti the government of Israel, 1,000%. And I don't think if you say anything bad about Israel, your anti-Semitic thing works anymore. We got young people who didn't grow up with that special relationship that our generations just took as for granted. And I think it's going to be a huge problem. The Democratic Party released that bunk autopsy and not one mention of Israel in it. And I think that's a problem. So we're going to have to stop bowing down to a foreign country. And I think it's going to be a real issue for us. I do think that I'm glad that there's no front runner yet, because I think we're going to have a nice, healthy primary season. But as far as how we show up and show out, I don't know. What do you think?
1 second.
I'll sing during this part. Oh, no, because we don't have licensing.
Well, actually, we do.
Oh,
Well, Will has licensing.
brass monkey, that funky monkey. I'll do the Beastie Boys catalog, the whole first
Okay,
album.
I don't know if he has that much. Let me see. No, there was something.
Girls.
There was something I had saw to sort of answer or think about the question as far as like who they're thinking about for Democratic anyway, presidential nominees in 2028. And you have Kamala, Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg, Mark Kelly, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Cory Booker, J.B. Pritzker, Gretchen Whitmer, Rahm Emanuel, Ro Khanna. Come on, Ro Khanna.
Let's go down that list one by one. Let's start at the top again.
Okay, but we're already an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is our this is our overage for sure.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of rounds, and some people didn't make it to the next round. This poll feels a little complicated. But yeah, so okay. So right now you have folks that they're thinking about
Right.
as Democratic nominees for 2028 presidential election. You have Kamala Harris.
No. You know what? I think she has the biggest set group. Are we over time?
No, I thought we had a 4:30.
That's what I thought. Well, here's 2:30 to 4.
I don't know.
So she has the greatest, organization and stuff, but let's not do this again.
I don't think America's ready for a
No.
black lady president.
No,
That's just all to it. I don't care if it's her or anybody else.
I think they'll
just
do a
think
gay guy before a gay white guy before they do a black woman. I really do.
So Gavin Newsom.
You know what? He's a little too. No, he's good at the Twitter game, but I don't think that he is steadfastly anything in particular.
Yeah, he's just handsome.
Yeah, and
He just has that look.
He's got good hair.
So it's very traditional Democratic, like John F. Kennedy sort of
Right.
thing. Like that's the air that I get from him.
Yeah.
But I also heard him say some pretty like pandering things
Yeah.
to black folks.
Yeah.
So Pete Buttigieg.
If in a perfect world, yes, he would be the president. Perfect world, smartest, everything. But he don't know black people either. So for us, I think that he would want to know black people. He would try to know black people.
I just want to know black
You know?
people. I want to know them.
Right. Whereas I think Gavin Newsom thinks he already got that vote.
Yeah, because he's got the swagger.
Right.
Okay. Mark Kelly, which is Gabby Gifford's
Yeah.
husband.
He's got all,
Arizona.
he's an astronaut. He's all the things, and, and he don't take no crap.
And he loves his wife,
Yeah. So yes.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Hell's no. She has turned into,
She's too young.
she's a Fetterman light. She has gone so No.
I mean, I don't dislike her, but I
don't
think that I
dislike
don't know that that's presidential. I don't know
No.
that she's
She
presidential.
doesn't have it.
Josh Shapiro,
No. Too much Israel.
Cory Booker.
You know what? Him and Tim Scott. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, you put him in the same bucket with
do.
Tim Scott?
I do. One knows another. But now I'm gay.
Congratulations on his recent nuptials.
How you need a beard so bad that you managed to find a black Jewish chick? Like, dude, come on.
He's trying to get all the votes.
Yeah, he is. Too hard.
J.B. Pritzker.
I like him. He's fat though. I mean, listen to be honest.
We've had
Who?
large, but Taft, Grover, Cleveland. I
Yeah.
think he was hefty.
And-
Which one needed a big bathtub? Was that
think that was Taft.
No, that was
Who's Taft?
Garfield. Maybe
MacArthur?
maybe it was Taft.
Okay, yeah.
MacArthur.
I don't know.
I think it was Taft or Garfield. What? Yeah, but I think
And
it was
the orange
Taft.
blob, but the orange blob's not. Pritzker. That's my only problem with him.
Gretchen Whitmer.
No.
Big Gretch.
No.
Come on, Big Gretch.
I could see her.
I'm a
as
fan.
Vice president.
Andy Bashar. I don't know who he is.
He's no.
Rahm Emanuel.
Hells no. Hells.
He's so feisty.
He's so full of it. He's the worst. He closed down half the black schools in Chicago. Own him.
Ruben
Gallegos.
Is it Gallego?
Yeah. No.
That's not how it's spelled.
Gallegos. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
No.
I don't know him either. And then Ro Khanna. I call him the unofficial congressman of Nevada.
Yeah, he's here a lot. But you know what, Ro? And I hope that we get to interview him soon. We have a promise.
Conversation. We're not going to interview. We're just going to chit chat.
All right, chit chat. My issue with all of the people who are talking about the Epstein files is I feel that they have used it as opposed to solved it. You are a congressman. Go on the floor of the House, read the freaking names. Nothing else. Because you have immunity to do it. Nobody can sue you about it. Just do it. But don't be raising money off of it. Don't be raising your national profile on it. Just freaking do it. Him and Thomas Massey should just get on the floor and read the freaking names. If you do that, you got me. But until then, I think you're a little fake.
Gotcha. I mean, I also don't know that America's ready for a South Asian president.
No, definitely not. And I don't know that black people are either. They don't have the best record with us. So, they got a lot of cultural issues in amongst themselves with color and things like that. And I just don't know. But I like Roe. I absolutely do. But again, vice president.
Yeah, he's cool. We've chatted a few times.
Yeah, vice president.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think that's it, sir. We've gone over time. So here we are at
That
the
was in
end.
the extras.
Yeah, that's it. That's the bonus.
Bonus round.
I would all like to say, and views of Sticky Note Conversations and its guests are solely their own and not the views necessarily of Make It Work Nevada or Beyond Impact.
But I speak for all black people and all gays. Let's remember that.
Anywho, any final words on
Vote.
Okay.
Miss Ruby. Remember Miss Ruby said, "Damn, we got to get these people to vote." Just remember that. That's all I got to say.
I miss her so much. Oh my God, I miss her so much. Because this would have been the chat, like we would have been talking to her, right?
Wait, I do have one more thing to say.
Oh, of course you do.
Okay, yes, I do.
Okay.
This is about Miss Ruby.
Columbo.
This is about Miss Ruby.
Uh-huh.
Columbo.
One more thing.
Oh,
I'm Gen X.
right. So anyway, the last time I talked to Miss Ruby, the last things that we said to each other were, "I love you." Remember, if you care about somebody, to always tell them that you love them, because you never know when you'll see them or won't see them again.
Yeah. I think that's the last thing we said to each other too. Our last conversation was more about my kids than anything. Even wasn't even about work stuff. We always talked about work stuff, but our last conversation was about, I was telling her that I felt like I was in a different and strange place of my children being young adults out on their own doing stuff. And it felt like I wasn't as a part of their lives. And I felt as though like I don't even know them anymore in the same. And she was like, baby, because you don't know them people.
And we have to end on that because we're getting the bum's rush.
Okay, here we go. But anyway, let me close out.
Thanks for listening to Sticky Note Conversations with Erika Washington. Hosted and executively produced by Erika Washington. With editing by Black Gypsy LLC. Special thanks to KUNV 91.5 in Las Vegas. This show is powered by Make It Work Nevada, a project of Tides Advocacy.